Hello. I don't know if this is going to have any kind of like echo or whatever, but hello. I have decided to start putting some content onto YouTube. Yes, it is because I am looking for money. I'm not going to lie about that. There are lots of people out there who are advising about how to get more money and how to earn money with YouTube. I'm not thinking or looking to become a millionaire necessarily, but um, I'm just going to give it a try. People have encouraged me to try it, so I'm going to try it. All right, so this is my first video then for my new channel, which is, my name is Chandra, but my channel is called Parables from This Black Life, right? That clearly I'm Black, African American woman, and I'm just going to be putting content out here that really relates to my life in story form. Usually, I'm giving a heads up. I might change the title of the channel at some point to field notes from this Black life. I'm not sure, but anyway, you know what? You guys vote. If you're looking at it, just put in the comments. Should I call it Parables from This Black Life or Field Notes from This Black Life? They both have different feels to them, different vibes. So yeah, this will be my first time to get, the audience involved. So anyway, what is the point of my channel, right? What am I doing? Basically what I'm going to be doing, and I don't know what kind of echo this might have because I'm in a bathroom. Yep, we're going to talk about this Black life. I'm in a bathroom. I'm crowded up with, other folk, and I'm just trying to get to space where I can. So I'm going to take a page from my friend from afar, Melanie of the Do Not Care Club, and say, I do not care. All right. So what is the point of my content? The point of my content is basically going to be just using different incidents and episodes and experiences from my life, this Black life that I've lived so far, to encourage, to give points of wisdom. It's not going to be like a heavy advice thing, like do this, do that, but just to show the parallels between this Black life, mine, and what's going on in the world at large, and to draw parallels and to help inform and educate by my experiences. So what am I going to talk about for my very first video? It's a little heavy, which people who know me are probably going, yeah, shocker, because I tend to be someone who walks on the more serious side of life, where the things that I think about, the things that have happened in my life tend to be a little weighty. So I'm just going to stick with that and kind of be who I am, and then we'll see what happens. So I'm going to start with, I'm tagging off of something that I saw on Facebook this morning, which is that, am I even recording? See, this tells y'all know what I'm doing. I'm trying to keep my videos under a certain amount from the get-go. Okay, it's recording. Anyway, I'm going to tag off of something I saw on Facebook this morning that was talking about the fact that there's a little bit of conversation going on in Virginia right now that has to do with maternal health, right? And more specifically, and particularly Black maternal health. The discussion is centered around the fact that apparently a contingent of or coalition of Black women, mainly, maternal health advocates and so forth, did a lot of work, 8 years or so worth, to really get some funding and bring some attention and awareness to the abysmal record for maternal health in Virginia. And what has happened is that they've done all that work, but now that funds are being allocated, there's some question as to who's going to get what money. And so I thought about that because, when people talk about Black maternal health, in this country, from what I've seen, we generally talk about racism, and we talk about different conditions under which Black women are conceiving, carrying, and bearing or not children. And we usually draw those connections and those nexuses between those two things, right? Racism is out here bearing down with a vengeance on Black women, their families, their communities. Black women are over here having not good experiences with those things: conceiving, bearing, and birthing children. So this is my parable. This is my story, because that's really what a parable is. So my story is that, let me lock this door. John, because like I said, people come in and out. But anyway, this is my story along those lines. And I'm going to give a challenge at the end, or I want to provoke you to some thinking. So here's the situation. When I was a younger woman, I was married, and my husband and I, ex-husband and I, were living in a city on the West Coast. We had just graduated college, and there we were. Well, there came a time when I was just not feeling well. And I did not know of any conditions or preconditions that existed for me, except for the big E, which is endometriosis, right? I wonder how many of us have heard of endometriosis. Well, it is a basically intrauterine type condition, where the way my physician explained it to me was that there's endometrial substance or lining of the uterus that every month, it builds up, it builds up, it builds up. And then if there's no conception, there's no fertilization of an egg, then that lining sheds. And that's what a period is, right? Okay, so I'm not going to assume we all know that, but that's what was explained to me. Okay, I'm not a physician, and I don't play one on TV. So, I had endometriosis since I was a teenager. Now, at this time, when this happened to me, the incident I'm going to describe, I know I was in my early 20s, because I just got married, so I was maybe 25 or so. So let's just say I had been having endometriosis for probably 8 years at a conservative estimate. 8 years, right? Never had any real treatment for it. I remember one time when I was in college, go Rattlers from FAMU, I basically passed out, and I had to go be taken by the football players down to the student health clinic. And I was told that it was pelvic related, and they gave me some pain meds, which probably had ibuprofen, which probably made me bleed even more. But that's a side note. That's a parable for a different time. But anyway, I had endometriosis. That's the bottom line. All right, so there came a time when one Saturday, when I woke up, I did not feel right. I mean, did not feel right. Could not hold food down, not even water. No liquids, no food, nothing. I could not hold it down. It would just come right back up. So my ex-husband reluctantly agreed that I needed to, that's another parable for another time, agreed to, let's get me to the hospital, to the ER. Go to the ER, long story short. And you're probably thinking, too late for that, girl. You've been talking a long time. This story is not short. But anyway, it's my channel. I'm doing my first video. Cut me some slack. So the surgeon who I ended up having to have surgery. Well, surprise, guess what? When I woke up in recovery, my surgeon was there to explain to me that it was discovered during the surgery that I was pregnant. Oh my gosh. Had no idea about that. Well, I'm thinking, okay, I am not one who favors abortion. That's another parable for another video. Okay. So I knew I was not going to go that route. And I'm thinking, well, dang, this is kind of a shocker. But that's okay. I was like, all right, let's roll with it. Let's see what's going on. And she said to me, she said, the problem is that I had to remove one of your ovaries during the surgery because your endometriosis was one of the worst cases I've ever seen. You had uterine adhesions all over everywhere. You had them in your abdomen, you had them close to your spine, you had them attached to your bladder, bowel. They were just everywhere. And she said, I had to be aggressive, so I had to take one of the ovaries. She said, now the problem is that if the child that has been conceived came from that ovary, I'm getting a little detailed here because I need to make the point. If that child that was conceived came from the ovary that was removed, the child will not survive because that is the ovary from which the life would be nourished as it develops in the uterus. Okay, so then it became a waiting game. Every month you go and, I had to get tested to measure the hormone levels and size of the uterus and all of these very inconvenient things, but it had to be done because we needed to know what was going on. So come to find out, that child did not survive. I had a miscarriage. His name is Josiah Earl. And that's another parable for another video. I've already got my editorial calendar, right? Because I've got all these different incidents and situations and experiences. But anywho, that was a numbing piece of news. I did not know how to respond to it, except I knew I was sad about it because I knew that my child was lost to me. But can I say this? The doctor, now remind you, this was back in 1986-ish or so. Mind you, the physician offered me no comfort. Now, physicians are not, social workers but can we get some humanity in the situation? So I was offered no comfort, no words of solace, nothing basically. It was pretty clinical. The child was not able to survive for the reasons that I explained when we first started this process. And so your next move is a DNC. Okay, well, I knew what that was. And I thought, well, she's a doctor, she probably knows what she's talking about. Okay, so I go through the DNC and nothing. No one suggested to me, you can name this child. You can even have a service and honor it. Zero. That's another parable for another video. But my point is that tying that to the discussion on Facebook today about maternal health and Black maternal health and the role that racism plays, I just want to add this from my life, right? Racism really did not have anything to do with what happened to and why I had a miscarriage, which is a maternal health issue, right? It wasn't because someone ignored pain that I had. It wasn't because, was it? I'm doing this real time and I'm talking it out. Okay, so that's, if you're gonna follow me and hang with me, that's something you're gonna have to get used to. Generally, I am gonna try to put some pre-thought and all that into it, but I am gonna realizations might come to me as I'm talking. So this is what I'm thinking. This is what I was going to say. Racism really was not involved because, meaning like the racism and, people not taking care of me because I was Black and all this sort of thing, right? What it was, okay, this is the perspective from this Black life. What it was stress, like the stress part of it, yes, but the stress was not due to racism. The stress in my life, can I just be frank? It came from primarily two sources. All of my life since I had started school, I was bullied. And I'm not talking about like, oh, look at her. No, I'm talking about beat up, fought, um, intimidated since I was in kindergarten. Okay, now we know the effects that bullying, the internal effects that bullying can have on a person. Okay, that's one thing. The second thing was I had a very difficult father. He was a complicated person, and I really don't mean to use the word complicated as a euphemism for he was just not a good person, because I don't think that's true. That's another parable for another video. But it was difficult at home. He was exacting. He was high demand. He was a perfectionist. He expected perfection from us, and that's the way it was. And that was a very stressful situation. Now, that had gone on, right, all my life up until that point. I can't really point to racism, but what I can say is this. To me, the common denominator, and I want us to be honest about some things, okay? I want us to really begin to think. I want to provoke your thinking. From this Black life, the message, the parable, the lesson that this parable can say or suggest to us is that stress can come, I'm talking ongoing, chronic, toxic level stress, can come from different areas and arenas in a person's life. Yes, it could be racism, right? It could be something tied to race, but not all of it is. And I wonder if even the majority of it is. I know that those are situations that are high profile and they work very well. And I'm not minimizing or denigrating any woman's story, never that. But what I am saying is that we have to look at this thing in totality and be honest. Stress is making our bodies as Black women inhospitable places to conceive, carry, and birth children. That is the lesson from the parable from this Black life. It is making our bodies inhospitable. That is not a blame thing, which is one reason why I think Black women turned away from that sort of thought or messaging early on in the maternal health movement, was because it's like, we've had enough of blaming the victim. Like, everybody blames us for everything. They blame us, because the kids aren't right. They blame us because the men aren't happy. They blame us. They just blame us. And so we did not want that at all. And who can blame us? But what I'm saying is that stress, toxic, chronic level stress, is not a good condition to try to conceive, carry, and birth children. Those things in that process is an extremely rigorous process for the body to endure, right? So what's the point then? Okay, what is the point? The point is, let's think more holistically and comprehensively about the maternal health issues. How might that change things? Well, it might change things in the fact that, number one, okay, a lesson from my parable. Number one, if you know young girls, young women, middle-aged women, yourself, who are having medical conditions or problems that could have an impact, so fibroids and things like that, pay attention to those things. Don't just normalize those. But don't over dramatize them and over politicize them either. Simply deal with them for what they are, which is something that you want gone, okay? So that you can do whatever it is you want to do in terms of childbearing, right? Number two, do what you can and encourage the Black women in your life to do what they can to do better with our bodies. Okay, that's another, can we say that? Can we talk about that? Do better with our bodies, not in a performative, inauthentic way, but especially young women. Can we create a culture where we bring them up this way? Young women, nobody's trying to be Handmaid's Tale or nothing like that. Okay, I know about this stuff. Nobody's trying to do that. but we're trying to build a culture in the Black community. Okay, I'm not excluding anybody, but I am including all my people. In the Black community, we can either continue or begin, whichever the case may be, a culture of when we're raising young girls, those girls around us, so on and so forth. I gotta hit that because that's spam coming in while I'm trying to do my video. To take care of themselves, not just so that they can be baby carriers and vessels, for other people's lives and all of this sort of things that we just throw out there. It is so, first and foremost, so that they can be their best. But secondly, and certainly just as importantly to me, is you never know what you're going to want when you get older. You may grow up in a sister girl, we don't roll like that. We're not running around trying to, prepare ourselves to have children. We're trying to get careers. I'm not down in that. I'm talking about this Black life, okay? And I'm trying to encourage us or invite all of us to take lessons from my parables, right? So we don't know what we might want. A girl at 12 or 13 may be all down with the sister girl vibe, but when she gets to be 20, 25, and she decides that she wants children, and she has lived a, life that isn't necessarily conducive, her body has not been conditioned, or it's not conducive, because there's all kinds of stress. And you say, well, she can't handle it. She can't help the stress. She's Black. She's going to have stress. Well, yes, but all stress, and I know because I've studied it, all stress does not have to become toxic and chronic stress. Even stress, yes, I'm going to say it, even stress that might be, and not all stress is race related, I'm going to say that too. Even stress that might be race related, it does not have to, it's not a foregone conclusion that it will ravage our bodies the way it has been, okay? So I have talked way too long at this point, but it's my first video, like I said, so cut me some slack. Also, if you're watching this and you know me, you're like, is that Chandra? What happened to her hair? It's like, okay, I'm a woman of a certain age now. My hair was trash, okay? I was doing braids and I had to keep dyeing it because I was trying to get rid of my gray. Well, the gray is like, girl, stop. We here. We with you. We ride or die. We ain't going nowhere. So I just thought, you know what? Okay, whatever. But I needed a big chop because I had to start again. And so, again, I'm sliding over to my faraway friend from afar. I do not care club. I don't care if you think it looks funny or I look funny with, without the braids or without the whatever I was doing the fro before and all that. It was all dead hair. It was just up there flying in the wind, dead as could be. Okay. So I had to start again. And I don't care, but I'm kind of digging it. So, and as it grows out, I might get some of that baton oil and all that. But anyway, yeah, that's what I gotta say. That's this week's. I'm trying to decide whether I should do weekly videos, daily video. For a while, I might do daily. So that's today's video. That is today's parable for this Black life. I thank you so much for watching and sticking with me and just listening. It's so nice to just have people listen to us, right? So stay tuned, okay?